as I mentioned to you, they've been Amazon Prime have got 3 episodes of a Wayne Shorter documentary. Wayne Shorter, if you don't know, was the great jazz musician who essentially in his music feared nothing. You know, worked with Miles Davis, worked with Art Blakey, had a band called Weather Report. His quartet was highly regarded as one of the seminal jazz bands until he got too old to perform, and he only recently passed away. And this film I recommend it highly for anybody interested. If you're not familiar with Wayne's work, he's such a forward. You can't. I don't know. Can you be ahead of your time? I don't know if you can. That's not possible. But he wasn't behind he was always looking for new situations to surround himself in, new stimuli, new challenges. I heard him once say that if the audience leave, you're doing something right. And I want to read you this quote. They try to say you don't live happily ever after, that fairy tales are false, and we must face reality. But sometimes you have to consider that reality might be the fairy tale. So that's a Wayne Shorter quote, and I just wondered what you think about that.
Oh, right. Put it straight on me.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, well, he's saying that that the person who says that about, don't live in a fairy tale, do this, are they have their world, and it's got to be done like this. And then the last line, he's coming back and saying, well, wait a minute, isn't Mr. Authority, isn't your world the fairy tale? And why are you saying I should live as you say it? Have you ever questioned your reality?
Yeah,
in a sense, that's what he's saying.
There's worlds within this world, but we have to follow the world of a few people, don't we? It's very hard for us to not, we have to follow the society story, if you like. My teacher, Bill, used to spend all his time saying, this is Disneyland. Somebody used to say all the time. Every piano lesson, I'd say something like about society, and he'd go, well, this is Disneyland, Paul.
Why would Wayne Shorter say that?
I think because Wayne, obviously I don't know the answer to that, but I think because Wayne was so free, he was like, they say in Buddhism, they say in Hinduism that Ramana Maharshi was like a white dot on white paper, And I think that was Wayne, I think he feared nothing, both in his faith, which was Buddhism, as I said, but also musically as well. But he was also encouraging people to tell their own story. He was a fan of fairies, so he collected a lot of fairies. Okay. But I think he was telling people to tell their own story, to write their own script, to take the VR headset off society off and put their own on. I think that's what Wayne was.
Because it's quite a challenge as well, that quote.
Yeah.
He's not shying from telling them how he feels as well. And that's quite a thing. If you have, so let's say we're the person who said that, we're the person of authority who came, don't live in this fairy tale that you created, you've got to live in this is it, you've got to abide by this. And for someone then to say to them, have you ever considered that you might be wrong and that your assumptions have no validity, and that you have created this world that you adhere to?
Yeah.
Now, that's quite shocking, isn't it? And I think, in a sense, we all do that. We all create our reality that we adhere to, and then something happens, come along, and we're challenged in that, aren't we? And the thing is to accept that challenge and to see it and to admit that you might be wrong in something, or that you didn't fully know, and then to be able to adapt and to broaden your mind, your heart, your life, and to experience deeper things. And that's a great thing, isn't it? But it's of course it's scary, and it's hard to let go of the rope that's connected to the shore and to drift a bit more, but finding when you start to drift, actually you are steering your boat. You know, you just might be on uncharted waters, but they might be beautiful, and you can make that way for yourself to somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's it. You know, just follow what it feels you. Although you're playing against society, and I mean, we could see what we saw happen a few years ago with the breakdown of society, almost for various reasons, as we all know, where we were all in our houses. We saw. I could speak from friends and things. A great amount of suffering. Because that game broke, call it game A if you like, but game A broke, and I think the guardians of our society obviously feared that game A could break. Because if you're not out there doing those things, and people were really struggling, weren't they? But what were the first thing a lot of them turned to was playing an instrument or reading more, going to creating their own fairy stories.
Yeah,
telling their own tales.
Self-realization of who they are deep within. You know, something that might be locked up inside by they might have locked it up themselves. You know, their real self, or it might be somebody else did that, and somebody might have said it to them, an adult, an older person, a friend, whatever, and they've locked something up. An aspiration and inspiration within them, and then that suddenly being closeted away, it came out to the surface, and then they wanted to express themselves in that way. That has come out, and especially people playing music. Art,
absolutely.
Drawing,
drawing, suddenly tapping into that divine kind of creation.
But the thing about, I think, to sustain something like that is a difficult thing. So we can be inspired again to go and do something. So we might see something that's inspirational and we feel inspired and we go and do something, we act on it and we do it. But then it's very easy to just fall back into a routine. And that, what we might term a struggle. If we try not to think of that as a negative thing, and if we think of a struggle as being an experience, a deepness of life, a truthfulness in life, then psychologically we can surmount that obstacle of falling back into patterns.
Welcoming it. Welcoming it. Kiss the toad.
Kiss the toad, indeed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you know,
there's a fairy tale.
Well, exactly. And I think from researching for a book I was working on years ago, NDAs, which are that near-death experiences, those people come back and it's like they had a life review.
Yeah.
And those people do go on, from my experience of the research I've done on that, to just bathe in creativity, to bathe in their own fairy stories.
Yeah, you're awakened to what is in front of you. I mean, we all have our routines and patterns, behavioural patterns that we do. Just everything, what time you get up, when you go in the bathroom, you brush your teeth first. That's what we have patterns. We have things. So it's breaking out little simple patterns and doing things slightly different. And by doing that, I do that on purpose. So if I'm painting for many hours, play music or whatever, I might go and do something random that's very different to that, because I want to break a pattern of something. I might get a bit stimid, break a pattern. I come back and I feel fresh again for being creative, and it inspires me slightly differently. So I think that's very, very important, to break patterns and to look at the patterns and realities that you're creating around you as well, and that and then you see that you do it, and you might see that others do it too. So I mean, like Wayne Shorter there, by saying that, that's quite a profound, strong thing, that he said.
Yeah, as one of his previous albums says, without a net, no net. What Wayne would do is walk on stage and the band would have rehearsed a bunch of tunes and he would just turn around to the band and say 0. And he would just start playing and they'd be like, okay, we're not doing those tunes tonight.
The thing about that sounds magical, but you have to get to a point to be able to do that as well.
You do.
But it shows that he's breaking out of a pattern and a way of being to do it this way. You know, we've got to do this, and he's saying, "No, I'm going to break it right now. I'm going to do this."
Yeah, absolutely.
So he is doing that, even though you develop such a high skill and standard by lots of hours of work. Then you break
just smash it open,
and then see what happens from
from
that chaos,
something interesting happens.
Absolutely blossoms.
I think and I'll finish with one of Wayne's lines where he said, just play how you want the world to be.
Yeah.